February has been long. Thank God for grace. So what will happen is that I am going to take a break. So next week we will not have a video. I hope that it'll also give you guys a chance to catch up on the content that's on the channel. And then when I return, I might have a family edition. Pray with me that Pila will say yes and that we will have a family edition to conclude this sit down conversation. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Yongaishere. If you are new here, I hope you will enjoy this conversation and it will convince you to stay. But if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back fam. And today I have my guests. We will be talking about the workplace. So they will introduce themselves shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, you can start.
I can start. My name is Kamogelo Chadi. I am a system specialist. That's what I started calling myself. So basically look after or support systems for companies or a specific system. Yeah.
What do you mean that's what you started calling yourself? Isn't that not what's on your contract?
No, that is not what that's on
my
my contract.
Oh wow! Okay,
No.
okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Someone Bashali. I see this is what we're doing. Shout out to Youngs. My name is Bodusum Sane. I'm in the property space, specifically specializing in student accommodation, and then I look after the marketing for my company. So yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Cool. All right, these guys are going to help us because this is a conversation that has been going around, and also we want to hop on to these things as well and hear how our friends navigating this work life. So my first question for them is, does small talk get you ahead at the workplace? And practically, you guys need to tell us, what do you need to do? Do you need to smile? What are the practical things that one needs to do? So does small talk get you ahead?
Yeah. Hey. So I was in the consulting space before my current job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the consulting space, I think that was encouraged very much. I think one of my early memories, second company that I worked for, was after I got a certification. One of the senior managers, because they posted in the group, one of the senior managers was like, if no one knows who you are, then no one cares. So you need to go around and say hi to people, find out how they are. So in that space, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. So I think small talk in general is hard, right? Because it's like you're trying to strike a conversation and explain what do you want or where do you get. So I think sometimes in corporate it can be approached as, what do you want? Like, why are you making this small talk in order to... So I think in my space over the span of my career, I don't think it's the best if it's a long-term strategy.
Okay.
But if it's a, hey, can we grab lunch? Or hey, can we do this? Hey, eventually you're trying to create or open a door so that there is like better communication. Whether it's teammates or different departments or other heads of business, it can help, but it just can't be the constant form of communication. I think there needs to be, why do you want to talk to this person? Are you seeking a mentorship? Are you seeking just general career advice? But people can always also feel that, man, this thing is tense.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you need to be intentional basically about how you go about relationships. Okay, but what I've been hearing on the streets is that you really do not need to, because on your work only, you need to find out what did people do over the weekend, even if you're not interested. But
Exactly. I think it's striking a balance because you can't do it with everyone. So if it's because you are really trying to just get ahead in your career and you've been told, so the one thing is relationships are good for your career. And so your work will only speak so far. At some point, they need to know that you're a person and that you're likable, that they can engage. And it just makes people more susceptible to listening to your ideas as well.
Okay.
But if you don't crack that door, then yes, it's just like you only have your work, but your work can only get you so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like in hindsight, as much as I hated that you're trying to make people social butterflies, it makes sense because you need that network, whether it's with your internal people or like with if you client facing the external. Right. So I tried to look at it that way, but yeah, it's now in hindsight, as I said. So it kind of makes sense that people need to, like he's mentioned, get to know you as a person, or know the person behind the word, and that's how they connect with you. That's how they remember you. Because I've been on projects where I worked like the quality of work that I produced was excellent, and the client was happy, but because we didn't have that personal connection, it's like you're forgotten after that, you know. So I can't go back to them and be like, hey, remember me? So I guess from that point of view I get it.
Sure. Okay, let's move on. Okay, I think now we've spoken into this one. The second question, I'll still read it. It says, does one's work ethic alone speak for them?
Like your work
ethic. So basically it's not enough.
Well, work ethic, maybe it would be different to your personality a little bit, because personality, you can be a likable person, but your work ethic is poor. Like I've seen in different spaces, this is a cool person to like hang out with, when it's time to grind, you're a little bit off the curve. So I think as a person, you need to figure out how to be able to talk to people, but remember at the end of the day, you're there to do a job, and that can't be just based on people liking you. So how do you take your work? How do you see your craft? Are you trying to do it better? And I think sometimes we've seen it before. Like, we've seen people get promoted into positions where they don't have the people skills, but the work ethic is just like on another level. But what I'm realizing is that the higher you go, the more people expect you to be personable. So when we're all juniors, we've got our work ethic. It doesn't matter. We're all grinding. But when you start seeing someone go, it's like CEOs. When you're a CEO and you don't have character or personality, people just like automatically want to write you off. Why? It's because people look up to you and say, man, you are there, but also don't be a douchebag. Like, be kind to people. So your work ethic can get you to the top. I think it's in the personality and how you lead people around you that makes them feel comfortable. So I think your work ethic can't necessarily be tied to your personality. I want to try and separate it. If you don't take your craft seriously, I think no matter how likable you are, it's like you gotta balance these different things, you know.
Have you guys experienced someone who's very likable at work, but their work ethic is
And they always in like high positions, and you know, how did you get here when you don't know what you're talking about? Like, yeah, but because they talk the right way. So I feel like somewhere along the climbing up the ladder, there wasn't a balance.
Yes.
So you did all the
Yes.
outward nice things,
Yeah.
but you're lacking technically, and then
Sure.
like now we left with you and we wondering
How did you get?
how did you like, so there are people like that, unfortunately.
Question 3. Do you guys think the small talk strategy of choosing leaders is the right way?
The small talk.
Strategy. Basically, they will look at you and analyze this, more engage with the rest of the staff. How is he? Does he say hi? And then he moves on. Oh, he's always around people's desk asking, how are you? How was your weekend? Did you have lunch? Does he care about the people he works with?
I think if we take it back to his initial answer about getting to see if someone is personable, then it makes sense, right? To have, I mean, as a leader, you need to like bring people in,
Sure.
glue the team together and all of that. Well, at least that's what we hope. So I guess if you can like sort of communicate and be approachable and stuff, then it makes sense that not only are you technically strong, but also on the softer side, you have the skills as well. So if we're looking at it that way, then it makes sense. But if you're just looking for people that talk too much but don't deliver, then that's a problem. So I think we need to just look at everything holistically.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I remember my former boss, like, was it Mondays and Fridays, we did check-ins. And he'd want to know, how was your weekend? At some point, it just feels like, dude, come on, bro. Like, let's just, can we skip this part? But
let's skip
in hindsight, I'm seeing that it was probably a way of, because when you're a manager, I guess you're always trying to lead people, manage output, and sometimes while you're managing output, feelings get touched and whatnot. So it helps. It doesn't hurt to have a manager who at least cares to like check in sometime. How are you doing? What's happening? Or you can talk about, and then the conversation moves forward. I think as a leader, you probably should have the capacity to at least check in with your team.
I mean, I think that's a good leadership skill, to want to know about the well-being of the people that you lead. Also being genuine. Also, it makes your work a lot easier, because where Cam was during the weekend. If you see her there, she's so tired. She was at the crisper. Not that she was. She was in the crisper.
We want to kiss
Yeah, so she is exhausted, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Her energies will pick up as the week goes.
Yeah.
I think that's an important skill for leaders to have.
I mean, you are leading people.
Yeah.
Try find out how they're doing. Makes sense.
Cool. So does the CEO know of you, or have you had like an encounter?
I wouldn't even know where to find the CEO. I don't even know where to start looking.
Google?
Yeah, I mean, I know his pictures, like you do town halls, I see you there, but outside of that,
company is big.
Yeah, it's too big. So, the current company, I think I had a better chance of meeting the CEO in consulting or knowing the CEO in consulting. Here where I am, the structure is so strict. Like even when it's just, you can't talk to people. Like that's how it feels. Whereas in consulting, levels didn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
People were approachable. So it's weird.
CEO. Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to be in companies where they weren't as big as Gamo. So like
Okay.
open floors, we all see each other. You know, you could see the CEO walking in and walking out. But because of my vocation, it's a department that provides support to the whole company. So eventually, I'm bound to have an exchange with the CEO,
Okay.
or just asking, is this working? So like, you know, right now influencer marketing is one of those things that's just like blowing up in South Africa. So I remember it was like, is it really worth our time? Should we put money into it? And so those are the kind of encounters you have, but I think it's largely because of the role that I play. Because I don't think, to Kama's point, it wouldn't be not sensible. Like, he's a busy guy. I don't think he can call everyone out by name.
Yeah.
Sure.
But for me, I've been in that position to be able to at least have a little bit of a chit chat here and there. Which I guess is quite cool. Yeah.
All right. I think my next question is: are you guys required to build like a personal brand, and how does that look like? Do you have to buy expensive suits?
For the workplace now.
For the workplace. Is that a requirement? To add on value onto themselves? Like, how does personal branding looks like in the workplace?
Yeah, so where I am, it's quite easy, right? Like, it's quite chilled. I think they care more about the skill and the quality of work that you bring, right? Because, I mean, I don't know, maybe because I'm in IT, so I see people walking around and I'm just like, why would you show up to work like this? People take you serious. So it shows that they don't really care about that. But I was taught, because I spend a lot of time in consulting. From how you appear, how someone sees you when they look at you before you even open your mouth, it matters. So obviously it has to go deeper than that, but your appearance is like sort of the first level, the first step. So I think that's how I work now. Like I go to work and I'm dressed up. I always look on point. And
I've been loving your office, man. I've been loving your office.
So that's me trying to, this is who she is. And so building onto that as well, the technical skills and all of that. So
No, I agree with that. I think definitely the appearance is the first level, but also usually depending on the company, there's always some sort of a dress code policy that would guide you. But there can be a dress code and you can just still sort of show up disorganized as a person. So making an effort in your appearance goes a long way. But also she's right, like it's just results. I think where the personal branding comes in is, again, you as a person sitting with your thoughts and saying, well, if ever I'm not in the room and people need to describe me and I'm not there, what would they say about me? I think when you ask yourself that question, you will change how you engage with colleagues, how you engage with your team, how you carry yourself, the kind of thought leadership you want to present, because it's just like, even if you're not there, your presence is felt or it's missed. So personal branding it goes beyond outside of the what we call office. I think we have to bring it back to how we grow up. The earliest memories of people we know had an impact on our personal leadership. Like when I think about it, the first time I ever engaged the topic of personal leadership, it's like, dude, actually our parents or people who raised us, well, I'm hoping that there were some but there's people that raised us who just had great personal leadership, but we were too young and maybe uneducated to know that, man, this person is just always looking this way, talking this way. Like you can never try and say anything bad about them, and so by the time we even learn about the topic, it's because we went somewhere neutral, or there was a seminar at the workplace, and so now we think personal leadership is only limited to the workplace, but it's just literally the everyday actions or disciplines that we carry.
Sure. Cool. Does your job give you identity?
Ooh. Ooh.
Definitely not.
She's about to say that identity comes from Jesus Christ.
For sure. For sure.
She's about to say, Jesus gives me my identity.
And my money back.
But I think it's like the way I fluctuate, like there's no way. I would be a confused soul if I was rooted in that. Like I'm always changing. I started on one system. That's why I'm like I've started introducing myself as this. Like I went from being a Reba specialist to a Cooper specialist. Like everything is always changing. So that's too unstable. It's too unstable.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're encouraging me to give myself a title because I've also been quite all over the place. Okay, I'm gonna give myself a title.
You're gonna give me a title.
So yeah, definitely no.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think a job can give you. I guess again, depending on what perspective you look at life from.
Sure.
A job can help with purpose. So if you are, as we say, if you are living within God's will for your life, then you figure out what makes you happy. How do you feel as if you're giving back? So jobs can play a role in that, but jobs can't give us identity. So I think when we mix it up, you end up people just walking around with the satisfaction of a title versus, again, I know not everyone who's Christian is watching, but even if it's not from a Christian perspective, it's just how do you live a life that fulfills you? And then what feeds into that? People, community, do you read books? What principles do you adopt as a person? Those are the things that are going to form you. And then once you are formed, whatever truth you're living from, you will obviously display outwardly to the world. But a job, it would be tough to see people say their job gives them identity as opposed to fulfilling part of your purpose on earth.
I've also seen especially recently, people just structures just being switched up, people being demoted, and imagine now that's who you are. You know, you holding onto that role and whatnot,
and then
they just switch things up. It's crazy. So I'm really because there was a guy that I had to interact with, and he was just so angry. And I'm like, is this because of what just happened? That this is how you are? So I'm like, yo, dude, please don't hold on to titles. This is me telling myself now that don't make work that because this happens in every company. You don't want to end up being angry and bitter and whatever because you were holding on to this title and now it's no longer there.
And I think if you hold on to work as an identity, it can crush you back to the ground. Because you've made it like your all. You do not go to work to serve, as unto the Lord. And then you are done. You are not your work, basically. There is more into who you are than being described by the title. It doesn't matter how big it is.
That's so good.
Cool. I think I'm gonna make it should I make it my last question? We'll see. Do you think that the workplace considers introverts when they want leaders who move up the corporate ladder, or when they're looking for a manager, who they consider an introvert? Is that okay?
You know this question though. Let's
engage.
But let's get
personal.
Because it's one of the reasons I'm so uncomfortable in corporate, because I'm just like, I feel like I'm not made for this space. But I'm seeing leaders that, a lot of people like saying, no, I'm an introvert, I'm shy, and then you're just like, oh. But I've had interactions with people where I walk away and I'm just like, yo, you are socially awkward. So that kind of gives me hope that I also would need to break out of my bubble a little bit just to give them something to work with, right? But I feel like there is room for us. There is room for us.
I think I'm two minds about it, because when you think of the role of a leader is you're constantly having to manage communication within the team, back and forth, from other whatnot. So if you are an introvert and you just prefer to not come out of your shell, I think you can go to certain heights through your skill sets, and maybe because at that point your personality is cool, but the moment you need to get into a position where it's like, dude, you need to talk, you need to give instruction, and because sometimes when you're introvert, you even sometimes might be afraid to be like, tell people, listen guys, the deadline is the deadline, and what happens in like let's say your team, and you're a good boss, now you're like, guys, Saturday Sangena. There's no time to be smiley. It's like, so I think, I'm not saying that as an introvert you can't. I think as an introvert you need to understand that if you're going to go for a position that forces you to engage and step out, then do the work. Do the work, but don't think that corporate is going to, they might overlook you because they'll be like, but do you always so and this position needs you to do so. So I think if you have the desire to go, I think, like, imagine being a CEO and you're in your shell and people look to you for where this thing is going. I don't know. I don't think it works. So I think it's
I really think introverts, when they get a certain position, they step up.
Correct.
It doesn't mean that it will take away that they're still introverts. They get overwhelmed. But I think they find a way to work with it. That maybe they'll be there, they won't be there for 2 hours like you. They will show up for an hour and then run away so that they can recover. Yes.
And that's fair. You know, I think as long as there's that awareness that, okay, I need to, this can't be my cape or my crutch, or I need to get out of the space. I mean, even though I'm like dying inside, I still need to get out of the space. So that's the only way it works. And I think that's the discussion I had to have with myself, that are you gonna say I'm shy and I'm an introvert forever? You're not gonna grow. You're not gonna grow type of thing. So there is space, but you need to be willing
to stretch yourself.
And it's uncomfortable.
What do you guys think about? I remember my former boss called me. He's like, this new generation. So he was trying to call one of his staff members. So he calls. I think it was the guy doesn't pick up. And then texts says, hi, phone calls, please text me. So he basically said to his boss, dude, I'm a phone call, please text me. What do you, because we're living in a feelings-led generation. How do you guys think that translates? Because honestly, to speaking, your feelings are left at the door. Let's just be real. It doesn't mean we can't show grace and empathize and be kind and respectful to each other. But I just can't imagine someone saying to me, no, I can't speak to you over the phone. They don't text because
I have trauma.
So I think,
I don't know.
I'm not encouraging him to lie, but I think there's a way that he could have phrased it. And say, hey, I'm not in the right space to pick up your call. May you please send me a text message.
Fair.
I mean, I don't like phone calls every day. I'm that person, but I'll never say that.
M17.
Just say, you suck it up.
Some 17. Like some 17.
Breathe.
So I'm worried that we're slowly entering a generation where we're gonna hear this more and more often. So it's gonna go from I'm an introvert, which is much more understandable because you've been like that for quite some time. Now we want to get into a place where, no, I'm a phone call. So you're treating work as if work is a relationship. No, you sign a contract.
Yeah.
You've got deliverables to do, and if that's the case, it means people need to be able to reach you. I'm just like, I've never got that conversation out of my mind, and I'm like, sure, is this the future of the workplace?
Sure.
Now you're putting this, and to your point, should we be creating spaces that actually allow for a person to be like, calls traumatize me, and then as a manager or a boss, figure out how to still communicate, because communication is what needs to happen.
Sure.
You know, can we have that empathy to be like, no, I'll text you because, you know, or answer my call.
Sure.
It's just like, what does the future of the workspace
I think the university should have a module that goes across all departments to educate the students about some work etiquettes that you know, this is the way you should behave at the workplace. That's it. Yeah.
Turned out tandy.
Yeah. Turned out tandy. Yeah, it is what it is. Cool. Okay, my last question. This is the last question. I promise. Do you think workplace is looking for whatever it takes characters to lead?
To lead?
Yes.
I would say in America, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, oh, come on.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Trump. In America, yes. In SA, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Because, I mean, there's, you know, work ethics and moralities and ethical behavior and all. So I don't think, as much as we might look at some people and think, you know, maybe that's the criteria, I don't think people set out to choose people that are like So there's a whole genuine good list of what they look for, and then I don't know, maybe some people play the system too well. That's how they end up in high positions. But I don't necessarily think that's the criteria.
Okay.
I don't think so too. I agree. I think it's everyone wants to. So a business first point of order is to make money. So people like to say, no, we're trying to be sustainable. There's a lot of jargon, and it's all good. But the first and foremost is maximizing shareholder value. So everyone who works and goes into some sort of an office space, especially if you're fortunate enough to work in a large corporation, your effective production, therefore your contribution is maximizing shareholder. Some people, like I was saying, just know how to talk the talk, walk the walk, and eventually...
I think they talk the talk and not walk.
Correct. And then depending on the kind of leadership at board level you have, you do find board members who are like, dude, just get someone who's going to get the job done.
Yeah.
You know, where some companies have a ethical compass, a moral compass. It's not just about any kind of leader, it's about the right kind of leader. And so, I would imagine, I don't think it's the norm. I think the challenge is usually when a company is faced with tough times or they see an opportunity and they just want to maximize profits, then the kind of person you choose is just a reflection of all of the collective shareholders. That's, I mean, if you look at CEOs from Vodacom, you look at the CEOs of, what are some of the companies doing great work? Vodacom, that's one I could think of, how they've built their leadership pipeline just shows you that they had an intentional leadership structure about picking the right people to take the company, you know, into greater heights.
Okay. All right, so we've come to an end of this episode. All right, you guys must have an amazing weekend. Love your people. Serve them well. And from us.
Bye-bye.
Oh,
sorry.
There we go.
So
Thank you guys. Thank you for coming.